The 10th to the 16th of February promises to be a week to remember, and not always in a good way. It is a ground shaking, earth rattling, wave and tsunami like energy this week, especially beginning Monday through to about Thursday. And in world events, this could look like earthquakes and, yes, big tidal waves of energy, including storms and storm gods. We have asteroids, Pandora for the ills that befell the earth, co-joined with the moon and Volcanus opposite Pluto on Monday into Tuesday. And this energy can definitely look like what we have been seeing in terms of storms and the earthquakes that are shaking up in Santorini, the volcano there. We're going to look at some major climate events this week ahead. I'm pretty darn sure. Otherwise, we're looking at political shakeups, and we'll get to that as well. The next thing I want to talk about this week is the interesting quiet storm that comes after the full moon in Leo. I'm not going to delineate the full moon in Leo because I've already covered it on Sunday, the February 9th video. So go ahead and check that out. I talked about it a little bit in that video. That was my Mercury Cazimi video. But the Thursday before this, I had a full moon delineation for all signs. And so you're going to find everything you need to know about how to handle that full moon energy that's happening on Wednesday, the 12th, and how it delineates the next 6 months of your life, not just the day of the moon or the 2 weeks after. But it is this week ahead that I'm going to say there's some serious, political storms and or life storms, real storms coming up in our climate this week ahead. And we should see evidence of that certainly before Thursday. Now, what I want to talk about as well is that this is a week in which we can see some energy coming up with Juno. Juno is a goddess of contracts, agreements, and partnerships, vows, and deals. You know what I mean? Let's make a deal. And this is an energy that can work to our advantage for each of us this week ahead when we want to kind of make a contractual agreement about something. We want to create an understanding, a handshake, so to speak, or a vow. And so for world peace, this is an asteroid that I often look at, and she does work her charms. She's also, however, Juno, who happens to be the wife of Zeus. She's also connected to moneta or coinage and the ancient tradition. And because we also have a lot going on in the world of crypto, also the stock markets are a little bit shaky, we may be looking at this as somewhat a storm in the markets. So real climate storms, a storm in the markets and the finance world, and of course, political storms are big on our radar this week ahead. And I don't mean small things. I start off with a week to remember. So welcome to my channel. And if you're new, my name is Lori Lothian. I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac, whole sign houses. And you know what? Those fixed stars and minor asteroids are part of my favorite part of being an astrologer. And we're going to talk about Typhon and Volcanus, like volcano, like explosive, but also the forge smith of the weapons of Zeus. And we're going to talk about aerial phenomena. There are things coming up in our sky this week that are going to take us smack dab to 2023 when they shot down a Chinese spy balloon. U.S. military did in February of 2023. What else happened in February of 2023? Oh, you won't believe it. Mysteriously, Canada was shooting something down in the Yukon the size of a small car. And the United States was also talking about the same phenomena. We had strange objects in our sky in February of 2023. And why does that matter? Because in February of 2023, we had a lunation in the early part of the month, as we do on the 12th this time. Last time it was around February 5th, I believe. We had a T-square from a Leo full moon in February of 2023. We had a T-square to Uranus in Taurus. So similar events may reoccur under this energy of this kind of intense shock and awe that we get with Uranus, or surprise or unexpected things. So we couldn't even make it up. There was an earthquake. There was a huge earthquake in Turkey. 7.5, 50,000 people died in February of 2023. There were strange aerial phenomena, including a Chinese spy balloon in February of 2023, when a full moon occurred in Leo squaring Uranus. And this is back again, the same story, the same sky. It is 2.0. So there definitely will be echoes of the past. And whatever happened to those drones, whatever happened to the orbs, they're still there. The media got bored of them. Media just got tired of talking about it because there was no real explanation. Then Donald Trump's White House comes in and goes, oh, it was just FAA research runs or something. And no one believes that. Nobody believes that. Even the governor of Jersey said bullshit, I think. But, let's just say we're not going to know the truth. I don't think Trump knew the truth when he was running for election and promising to disclose. And now that he's been briefed about what's really going on, he's not telling us what's really going on. So I'm just trying to get some better light on myself because it's like dark in my living room there. That's a little bit better. Now you can see my whole house, guys. So let's get going and talk about this story from all angles, And we're also going to do your sign. And this is not a long video on this Monday, February the 9th, but we're going to talk as much as I can about what matters. I don't do the moon during the week ahead. You know, you're feeling moody on Sunday and happy on Tuesday and down on Thursday. You know, who cares? Moods come and go. We don't need the moon other than an activation for massive calamity, which the moon is quite capable of doing. All right. It can actually do that. Moon represents the people. So what concerns me the most, I'm going to describe it to you, then I'm going to show you the chart. What concerns me quite a bit is the moon is going to cross into early Leo on Monday, on its way to a full moon on Wednesday in the sign of Leo. And as it does this on Monday, it's going to end up coming into contact to an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius on the fixed star Altair, military prowess, the sign of the eagle, which is a sign of the United States of America, symbology. And at the same time that this moon is opposite Pluto, which is not a big deal, the moon will be opposite Pluto, you know, on the monthly now for the, you know, next 19 years, but the moon is also sitting on the asteroid Volcanus, and also sitting with Pandora. Now, Pandora's box is a myth about the gods tricking this girl into the first female into opening a box, and inside the box was it wasn't even a box; it was an urn or a vase. But the ills that befell the earth, disease, war, murder, you know, sorrow, I don't know, like all the bad stuff about being on planet prison Earth, right? So what are you going to do, right? And so in that regard, Pandora's box, the moon, Pluto, opposition, activation, square Uranus in Earth, Taurus, is like tsunami earthquake energies. It definitely has to be something, or volcanic eruptions. Now, Volcanus is the forgesmith of the gods who was the husband of Venus, who created the thunderbolts for Zeus. So we can see weaponry there. Netanyahu has a forgesmith of the gods on his midheaven in Virgo, I believe, and when he was born, and he is the guy who does the iron missiles, but also developed new weaponry technology under his regime, such as Lavender and Where's Daddy and the AI, you know, drones that went out killing people, etc. So, you know, and whole apartment blocks and buildings in the Middle East. So the dark side of this is that the military star and Pluto are almost perfectly conjunct this week. And that Volcanus, well, it can also be eruptions of volcanoes and connected to earth calamities and a square to Uranus and Taurus on Algol, the sign of corpses. It can also be problems to do with disastrous and really shitty outcomes in war that look like, you know, stuff you don't want to know about, right? Like, you know what I mean, right? Massacres and stuff like that. Hopefully not, but I wouldn't put it past any of the warring countries to go there. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. A lot of you are learning astrology. A lot of you want to know what I'm saying, like to see it with your own eyeballs. So let's pull up the chart. Now, I did mention this weird aerial phenomena situation that happened in 2023. There was something, there was a Chinese air balloon, right? And then there was something flying over the Yukon and Canada shot it down, but then they didn't tell us what it was that they shot down. I mean, you got to be kidding me. So I'm looking back at the, you know, sort of the archives of February of 2023, and the US military did shoot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon off the Carolina coast from the orders from Biden. Okay. And then there was a powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake in southern Turkey and 50,000 people died. But also we had something else going on here. We had this very little reported and hardly remembered storyline, guys, of a really, nobody knows about this, but a U.S. White House official said that an American fighter jet shot down an unknown object out of the sky off the coast of Alaska near the Canadian border. National Security Council Coordinator John Kirby describes, oh, we so don't like him anymore. This is before the war in the Middle East. National Security Council Coordinator John Kirby describes the object as a size of a small car. Do you guys remember how the drones that were all over New Jersey were described as the size of a small car? but has few, and they weren't just over New Jersey, they were everywhere in the world, but also more places in the United States, but has few other details, such as where it might have come from or its capabilities. Yeah, really, no silence on the other end. Defense Minister Anita Anand says, that's our Canadian defense minister at the time, it didn't pose an imminent risk to Canadians. Does that sound familiar? Oh, those drones all over New Jersey did not pose an immediate risk to anyone in New Jersey. So, there's a second part of the story is that Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, ordered the U.S. fighter jet to shoot down the unidentified object over the Yukon/border of Alaska, the day after the U.S. took a similar action over Alaska. So there's a collaboration between the United States and Canada to shoot down something over territory that's between both of our countries. I'm a Canadian. Now, there's another one. The U.S. military shot down a fourth high-altitude object in just over a week. This is February of 2023, this time closer to heavily populated areas in southern Ontario and the U.S. East Coast. Defense Minister Anand in Canada said a high-altitude object was detected in U.S. airspace over Lake Huron. Anand says NORAD launched Canadian and U.S. aircraft to investigate the object, and it was taken down, and the object was taken down in U.S. airspace by U.S. aircraft. All right, so why am I bringing all that up? Because I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of story to do with the drones, the orbs, and maybe even stories of taking down these crafts from the sky will not occur this week ahead, or in the month of February. This was coming off the full moon around February the 5th of 2023. Add 2 weeks, or up to a month even after full moon. So we may find that the February 12th, add a few weeks, we're going to see a lot more of that stuff, including late this week. This is probably next week, really, when I look at the sky. This is the sky. This is what the heavens look like. And this is the problem child. This is what worries me just a slight bit. This is the moon with Volcanus, looks like a volcano, and the Pandora's box, which looks like a wastebasket. And there's Pluto on Altair. I didn't draw the star in there, but Altair is in there. The eye of the eagle, a military star. Notice that Icarus is still traveling pretty close to the sun, but when the actual jet crashed into the mall area in Pennsylvania, and unfortunately when the collision between the Black Hawk and the American Airlines passenger jet happened, Sun and Icarus were perfectly conjoined, okay, in a new moon in Aquarius. And we're still seeing fallout from that, of course, with even more aerial aviation disasters having come off the heels of that energy. So yes, Icarus and Sun, Icarus's wings melted because he flew too close to the sun and he fell from the sky because he had wax wings. And there you go. We see literal sky stories playing out. Astrology is surprisingly and depressingly cartoonish. Now, one thing I want to note is you will see that Juno, the goddess of contracts, is sitting right here. What's this baby with her? That's Typhon, Typhon, a storm god known for hurricanes and typhoons. So a storm god, forget about Juno for a minute. A storm god sits here in Scorpio, a water sign. So a water storm god in a water sign in a sextile to the south node in the sign of Virgo, which is Earth, and also in a trine to Neptune in a part of the sky that is also about oceans and seas, Pisces. So we got a lot of water here. And although these are flowing aspects, even though there should be positivity, I'm not banking on it. I've seen these things with the nodes of fate look like calamity. Is it good or is it bad? Who knows, you know? In other words, the divine plan might say, let's have a massive storm that reveals under the sea a lost hidden city filled with knowledge that saves humanity. Okay? So the storm has a cost, human life, but it has a gain, securing unseen or unknown knowledge. So there's no way for me to say what is good or bad in this kind of sky. But the storm god here, when we have an earthquake-prone Uranus squaring the new moon, is a little bit daunting. This is Uranus here. He's coming close to Algol, a star that has to do with corpses and bodies and ghouls. It's a dark energy when it does calamitous things. And we'll notice that when the moon will be here, when this moon gets to 24 24 degrees right over here. On Wednesday, it will be creating almost a perfect T-square to Uranus from the sun. And that energy we have seen before in 2023, and we had the earthquake in Turkey. So we can definitely expect tsunamis or earthquakes shaking up the earth. So maybe financial storms as well. Typhoon in Scorpio can bring financial storms as well. And of course, it's directly opposite Uranus. So we can also point to this being a story that may bring us into contact with turbulence is in the sign of the bull, which is the stock markets in the United States of America. So there's a way that that could look like that story as well, where we see a shakeup in the financial markets of a great order of magnitude on Monday. I was living in New York City during Black Monday back in the day, 1987. So, you know, kind of a Black Monday return could be in the sky as well. And you're looking at the sky here on February 10th, around 11:41 a.m. in Vancouver, Canada, where I live. And this is the kind of the Monday sky story, right? This is what it looks like. So I'm not particularly fond of it, to say the least, because you'll notice that Mercury, who's all the news that's fit to print, I'm going to annotate clear. Give me a minute. I just want to clear my messy drawings, clear all drawings. You'll see that Mercury, who's all the news that's fit to print, okay, is in a square to earthquake prone and stock market shakeup prone Uranus, which is in a square to Typhon on the goddess of contractual agreements and vows, and of course that makes that a T-square. Did you hear my sigh? So there's something going on that could fracture or break in a fated, destined way agreements, ceasefires, and peace treaties, relationships that are committed, whether it's your business partnership relationship, a commitment to a client, your commitment to a life mate, partner, spouse. There's a shaking up energy, fracturing potential here in a T-square to Uranus, even though there is flow to the nodes of fate. One could code the flows to the nodes of fate, which forms a wedge, North Node, Neptune, Saturn, to destined shakeup, destined change. Again, a storm can do many things. It can decimate the people and the land. It can reveal what's hidden. It could uncover something from beneath the surface. Storms are not always bad. In Scorpio, it can be CIA three-letter agency revelation that feels like a shock or a storm to the world, because the stealthy spy industry is a part of the Scorpionic realm. And so there may be some disclosures there. And of course, with Juno, what vows have been made around stealth and disclosure? Well, Trump said he would have big reveals around hidden documents to do with UFOs and assassinations by American government against its own people, including President John F. Kennedy. I mean, I don't know if that's been released yet, because the executive orders have been signed, or they're going to clean it up before they release it. But there could be disclosures Monday and Tuesday that are absolutely shocking. That's where I'm going to go. Salacious traveling with Venus. We could also expect some shocking sex scandals to do with married couples. Shocking sex scandals to do with married couples. That's another option in this sky. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about each sign. My focus on you is really about how you can use the aftermath of this story. Yes, I will also talk about the shakeup, but there's an oasis of calm that's quite unusual. I'm going to show you the oasis of calm. These skies don't do this very often. I've been sky watching for a long time, guys, and it's not very often you get such a calm, signal-free zone. What do I mean by a signal-free zone? I mean, there are no major aspects going on in the sky, and so it's as if you're on it, like you're traveling around and suddenly your cell phone signal dies, and the cell phone tower is not there, like you're between cell phone towers. You're not getting any reception. And well, that sometimes can be distressing. Sometimes it can be a relief, right? Like when the power goes out and you can't watch Netflix and you can't get a hold of all your friends and you can't do all the things you want to do. You light some candles, get some flashlights going, and enjoy your life, right? In the quietude of a timeout corner. This is what the sky is doing here. We get to February 13th, which is Thursday. And look how long it takes, February 20th, to get to a Mercury square Jupiter. Now, of course, you'll feel Mercury square Jupiter building on the 18th, but that still gives us a kind of 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th window of time where things are kind of super sweet, super calm. So I want us to all think about this like a timeout corner that's good for us. How can we all go a little bit inward and reflect a bit more on what it is we want to do with a sense that we're not being whipped around? And what do you call that? Whiplashed around by the stories of the day, whiplashed around by the traumas of the world, whiplashed around by everything, because you don't have to be. There is some Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday into next week, this coming weekend, calm, the calm after the storm. Okay, that's what I'll call it, not before. It's the calm after the storm. Sometimes calamitous events bring us into a place within ourselves, like after 9/11, where we're all just grateful to be alive, grateful, sad for those who are hurt, grateful that it wasn't us, wanting to tell everybody we know how much we love them, celebrating the small gains in life, like breathing, like a cup of cinnamon tea, that I have a roof on my head. I hope you have a roof on your head, over your head. Okay, I hope you do. But you know what I mean, right? So I'm encouraging everybody here to think about how you can harness this Thursday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday vibe to really go inward and to really self-soothe, but also find some inner peace and understanding about who you are when you're not being a pawn on the game board of planetary and celestial motion, because there's not much going on. Yes, Mercury is moving into the sign of Pisces on Friday. I'm going to have a separate video about that most likely, because it's complicated. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's do the signs. Let's get rolling. And let me do Aries first. Now, I got some guy on my comments complaining constantly at me, or girl, about how they like to see my pretty face and la 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 la, and not have me show you the chart. Now, I might get, which is annoying. I told you I'd cease and desist. But I'm going to definitely think about using a new software. I just use Zoom because it's convenient. So I might move over to, a few of the more professional softwares that I can upload into my computer. And you'll have the chart on one side and you'll have half of me filling the screen. Okay. So I'll look at doing that for people who don't prefer to see the wheel. But the wheel is a teaching wheel because I'm more of a teaching astrologer, right? I'm not here to look pretty. In fact, some days I look really not great. So it's about teaching you astrology so you can fish instead of me being the fisherman giving you the fish. You learn by watching and hearing, and that's my brand. So whoever that person is on the comments, I appreciate your thoughts and suggestions, but no, this is what I've been doing, and it got me to 100,000 subscribers, and those are my people who like that, so I will continue with it. So let's start off with Aries. And don't forget, everybody, go back. Well, first of all, go back to seeds you planted around, what was it, July or August? Well, the new moon, I think it was August, yes. Of course it was August. August the 4th or so, or something around August the 4th, there was a new moon in Leo. So don't forget this full moon blossoming this week takes cue from that, but go watch the video. I put a couple videos back. I'll put it in the comments. I'll pin it. Maybe I'll learn how to put the card at the end, and you'll be able to go get that video. Number 2, I want you to think about, it's going to be calamitous. I might call this week buckle up. It's a cliche, but buckle up. There's a lot of shock and awe in our sky this week. I have to say, buckle up. But then afterwards, how do you use the downtime after? How do you take, after the adrenaline, the shock, the awe, then what do you do? And with nothing going on in the sky, you use it for your own inner reflection, your own inner agency, your own inner empowerment. Okay. This girl is going to move us into, just keep it around that time. I'll move it back 1 and get to Aries, and we'll get started. And ready, set, go. Oh, right. All right. So I am an Aries sun and moon, so I can connect to the vibe here, guys. I want to half-ask one of you. You're listening for your sun, for your career and purpose, your moon for your home and your body, and maybe sometimes how you feel about your life. You're definitely listening to your rising sign is most often quite accurate. Use all 3. Let me know how it flows for you. This is whole sign house system. I'm using the ancient tradition, and it works. If you're using Placidus, good luck. Just pretend that you're using whole sign. All right, Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. First thing, is this week starts off with a lot of intensity as the sun and the sun is definitely coming into that square, which is going to be a part of that moon. So the sun is not in a good relationship, or it's not good or bad. The sun is in an intense relationship. Okay, I wouldn't say bad, to Uranus at 23 degrees on fixed star Algol, approaching fixed star Algol. So there's a building up on Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday for the new full moon of an intensity. There's Icarus, which was connected to all those flight disasters, but the sun's kind of moved on. Icarus is in the rearview mirror, and there's some kind of news information. We had a cazimi, we had Mercury in the heart of the sun on the 9th. That is now complete, but now Mercury's moving forward. It still has news to all the news is fit to print, or all the information that needs to be given. So you might find that as an Aries, there's something going on here, and you might want to go back to February of 2023, where there's a shakeup or a surprise financially. Now, all Uranus shakeups are not necessarily negative, because the house of good spirit is a positive house of career gains and windfalls and luck. And so there's something about, there could be some unexpected career surprise, some positive news, an ally, a benefactor that it has a capacity to increase your wealth. So don't be afraid of this necessarily. Now, on the other hand, if there's a shakeup or an earthquake to do with monetary issues and your finances, well, I guess you could take it and say, something good is trying to happen here. Because why? Because the house of good spirit is always bringing us our deepest dreams and wishes, and connecting us with the word desire is a Kama house. So there is a deep desire to go below the surface in the way you gain money in your career. That's the Pluto energy. And you're going to notice that there's a surprising element Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, Mercury brings ideas, but this is from other people. So maybe someone emails or phone calls you or text messages you, or you get some kind of invitation. This is a house of influence. An influencer wants you to be on their podcast. You want to go out and connect to larger groups of people, and friends become very much profound allies in a way that shifts your relationship to your finances in a surprising and maybe positive way, but just a surprising way for sure. When Algol's not busy creating corpses, it's a well star. The shakeup on Monday is in your 5th house to your 11th house. That's at Pandora's box, Volcanus, moon energy on Monday. And you'll feel it into Tuesday perhaps. And there's a sense of something shaking up in your creativity, your entrepreneurial business, in your romantic and sexual life. This is all, of course, very, they're both good houses, the 5th house, and the 11th house. So they're positive houses. So it may not be the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Let's put it that way. What about, and your children, shakeups regarding the life of one of your children? What about that Juno, the goddess of agreements and commitments up there, doing that strange connection with Typhon? There may be a huge shift in the way you do the work you do in this world and how you create financial well-being from it, as well as a kind of shakeup regarding something to do with your own axis of self-undoing and karma. You're breaking free and breaking through of some significant karmatic pattern, some old vows of chastity, poverty, self-undoing. There's deep soul work with this Typhon Juno in the 8th house. It's taking you underneath the surface, behind the scenes of your conscious life, to break free of things that may have undone you, including addictions. I didn't put this in there, but Asteroid Bacchus, the god of wine, is traveling with Neptune, and you could have a breakthrough on any addictive substance. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Oh, I'm not in large mode. I apologize for you to see that. There is a shaking up within yourself. You are Uranus. You are the one embodying freedom, innovation, rebellion, but breakthrough and break free. Breakthrough and break free what? Well, first of all, with this energy of Uranus this week in a square to a moon on Wednesday, break free and through and from ancestral and family of origin wounds and patterns, things that you learn growing up that really may not have been consciously set upon you by your family, like the family rules, the family beliefs, but now you can see through them. And if you're carrying any ancestral sludge or family of origin junk or childhood wounds, this is a nice time to break through and break free of them in a very beautiful and very positive way. I also feel that Monday energy that looks like, for the world, like a climate event or a stock market shakeup, looks to you like it's a real shakeup from the very root of the chart, your domestic and private life, where there's a volcanic energy that erupts all the way through to the top of your chart, the 10th house, where you're really looking at your ambition for success, your purpose, your career path in life, and your reputation. You're having a volcanic eruption of change, perhaps. And maybe your wings have melted. Maybe you've been falling from the sky. Maybe the work is too hard. The work is wrong. Your reputation is suffering for some reason. With Juno in the 7th house, be careful. Juno is with a storm god Typhon. And that storm god is in a marriage and long-term relationship house as well as a contractual business house. And there can be some destined and fated fractures of existing vows and contracts, whether they're verbal or handshakes or they're written. And so agreements can be broken under this kind of a sky. But what are you going to do in the aftermath of what looks like a very intense Monday through to Thursday? You're going to be in a well of calm. You're going to be in a cell-free signal. You're going to be in a timeout of quiet. And so how you come down from that is to your benefit, to look at how you can use that downtime in some way to come into a deeper connection to what true freedom, what true innovation, and what true fly your own freak flagness you have to do in life. You don't have to conform to what the world expects of you. You are adopting a Uranian attitude to reality. And so you are a leading edge of innovation, invention, self-reinvention right now. This is really exciting for you. So if something does fracture, an agreement in business, a relationship to a job, you can see that, Juno is squaring Mercury in the house of career. Maybe there's or there could just be sometimes a sudden surprising change in your terms of service or your career path as well. It may not be bad. It may be, oh my God, they just changed my job, upgraded my salary or something, but there's big changes in the job if it involves legal contracts. And there could be some upsets in committed long-term love. There's a storm god there. So be careful for that as well. Hey, Gemini, what a week. What a week. What are you going to do? Right. So let's start off with the idea that we end up with this, energy of the sun squaring Uranus all first 3 days of the week. And the beginning of the week, a volcanic moon down there. So the sun and Uranus are a square. The sun and Uranus are in a square. All of this for everyone, go back to February of 23. That's when the last time we had this kind of sky. I think the sun is up in the 9th house of God, calling you to dharma, to purpose, to meaning in your life. It's really good for publications, book publishing, and foreign travel and visas. This is wonderful for luck, Lakshmi, luck, and riches coming your way. However, this is a sun that is also going to square Uranus and be opposite that moon on Wednesday. And where the shaking of Uranus is could definitely be in a massive shakeup around plans regarding travel, learning, teaching, your online world. If you make money online or in digital income, or you work for a foreign business or company, or you make international revenue somehow, right? Then this is a very intense energy where Uranus sits in that 12th house of that kind of money. And so there is something good happening perhaps here. Maybe this is going to be a positive breakthrough around some financial matters connected to teaching, learning, traveling, online world, publications, writing, and communicating. A sibling younger than you by 1 could also be involved in some kind of intensity of a shakeup in their life. It's not your problem. It's happening in their life. And you're on the sidelines in witness mode, but you're able to say, okay, you're really going through it right now. How can I help? That would be a sibling, one younger, aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew kind of vibe as well. And maybe a neighbor, someone close by. I also think the 3rd house type of energy is friends that you could invite over in your pajamas when you're sick and you look like hell. You know what I mean? It's like almost like the friends who are fam, and there may be a shakeup in the life of a friend who's almost like a family member to you, extended family, like a sister, like a sibling, like a cousin, and you might be sort of witnessing what's happening and trying to offer Jupiterian wisdom and guidance in their life rather than it be even about you. Just keep that in mind. Because we have that Juno story as well going on, there could be some kind of intensity around relationship agreements connected to work matters. Maybe obligations to the work, to the service, to the boss, to the colleague setting, something like that. But there's storms in the office, stormy environments in the workplace, let's call it that. Trying to bring destined change to your career, connected to that North Node in your 10th house with Saturn. A lot of you, like Kamala Harris, has got the Saturn up there transiting now. She's a Gemini rising, and it really does sort of declare the end of her career, because Saturn indicates hitting the mountaintop and going back down the other side here. So there could be some big stories coming through for Harris, Kamala Harris this week as well. Just should have said that earlier. I kind of feel like that Juno Typhon energy, though, is a storm in the work environment, most likely here, and some big changes that need to show up for you because of that storm. And you're going to feel that coming up, Monday through, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, Monday through Wednesday. Now, in the aftermath of all this shake and bake, what are you going to do? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to breathe. What you're going to do is you're going to end up, I hope, going inward and really feeling into how you're going to respond, not react to the circumstances around you. And by the way, it could be, again, about other people, because that 9-3 axis really isn't always about you, right? So especially the third house. It could be a sibling, 2 older than you, a sibling 1 younger than you, extended family members, friends who are like fam. So there's some shakeups in the lives of those around you. This may not be particularly intimate to your story. Now, one more thing. If you have a property that you are a landlord of and you rent, or if you're a tenant, Juno and the storm god are in the house of contractual rental agreements to do with property. And well, it's like indentured servitude, right? And you will see that this is in a sextile to the node of fate of letting go with home, real and property and real estate, while being opposite the shock and awe of Uranus. Unexpected, surprising shifts in rental agreements for some of you Geminis. Now, this girl's going to stop the share and get a little bit more of her tea going, and I'll be right on back. I'll see you in a sec. I'm going to definitely work on the lighting in here, because maybe a ring light would be a good idea. Yesterday I did this, but it was a sunny day here, and so I had better lighting without any extras. I'll be right on back. All right, let's get back into it, shall we? Move into the next sign. And what a week, guys. If nothing happens this week and it's super calm, I'm going to be shocked, because it doesn't look like it to me. I wonder how that Super Bowl is going today. I am recording on Sunday, just so you know. All righty. Let's talk about Cancer. This is a kind of critical Uranian shake-up energy, intensity, breakthrough, break free. A week ahead with Uranus and Algol, of course, a star that can bring good and bad things to us all. This energy starts off with the sun squaring that Algol energy in an intense energy for you in the part of the sky that represents your career gains, and also not just your gains, but maybe a sibling 1 older than you, connections to friends and benefactors and allies. And there is a ground shaking energy with Uranus in the 11th house in a square to the sun Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and eventually that new full moon in Leo in their 2nd house. It activates an axis of financial matters, 2 and 8, especially those shared resources with a significant other where that sun is sitting. Quite possibly there's some big shakeups around taxes, inheritance monies, the money you share with another person, especially like a life mate or a spouse, and shared investment monies as well. And so look for some kind of Monday intensity around money that you spend, or things that connect to the earnings or the financial wellness of your chart. You'll notice that there is that volcanic energy in the 2nd house. It's very, very intense. And it can be almost like an eruption financially. Is it good or bad? It can be good, because Algol is a wealth star in a money house connected to career or allies, benefactors, sibling 1 older, squaring a volcanic eruption in the 2nd house of money. So there could be a sudden surge of financial energy for you Monday through to, say, Thursday. So it could happen that way. But on the other hand, there could be some eruption with a significant other over shared resources and money, some kind of disagreement or fight or argument. I don't know about that Juno, but she's in the house of your children. with a storm god, and there may be a stormy event in the life of a child connected to a committed love relationship, vow of some sort. And there may be some shakeup in the long-term committed love stories of a significant relationship to one of your children. Now, if your kid's in kindergarten, their best friend in kindergarten, sure. But if they're older, they're the one they're with, the one they're mating and dating, right? So that could happen over there. Look for some connections here as well this week to your energy of what you're leaning into, making some kind of shift perhaps this week in towards what it is that really gives you a sense of meaning and purpose in your life. And some of that may connect to the idea of creativity or using your gifts to be more in alignment as an entrepreneur or self-starter or independent business person. Because with the Juno flow and the storm to the North Node and Neptune and Saturn, which is a combination of stuff that was back in 1850 up in that ninth house, there is some big question for you about, am I really aligned with my deepest meaning of life, my true north? And there's some agreements that can be forged or some agreements that can be made. And if you're in the book publishing industry, like you're someone who wants to get a book published, this is really good for some kind of positive direction for you in that regard this week ahead. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. So in the beginning of this week, Monday, there's a big kind of Volcanus intensity being fired up with the Pandora's box in the house of you. You are the one who is erupting or is fiery or volcanic with, the ills of the world spewing out of you. You're like in a space, Leos. I don't know what's going on in your life, but I wouldn't call this super chill. Your energy wise, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is intense. The full moon is happening in your sign. You've got a big spotlight on yourself. On Wednesday, it's opposite, of course, the sun in the seventh house of others with the wings melting and Pluto and Mercury. Could be some information, some news, some conversations with a significant business partner, client, customer, or your significant other kind of thing. And there is a intensity going on for you with that person Monday through to Thursday. Obviously, squaring Uranus in the 10th house, you could impact your reputation publicly. Could be a sudden shocking breakup with someone you're dating. There could be some kind of disruption to your work and your career status, or some freedom and breakthrough in your work and career status as well. You got some commitments and vows with stormy seas in the fourth house. So maybe you've made some agreements with the people you live with, your roommates, your family. Maybe you've made some agreements literally with real estate, a contract to buy or sell. But there's storm gods here, and it's yes, it's trining the North Node in the house of banking and mortgages, and that is good. But if you are to buy or sell a property under this influence, the South Node in the second house can indicate the letting go of money. That could happen. Get ready for it to be a stormy process. Nothing looks really easy with Typhon on this part of the sky. Like you could move out of your home, like I'm moving out for some reason under this influence as well. Especially surprising everybody as you do so. You could walk out of a long-term relationship. Your partner could walk out of a long-term relationship. It could be very intense around domestic life and long-term committed love and your visible reputation. But then there's the calm after the storm, which is going to bring you through Thursday to next Monday. How can you use that as the dust settles and you can really sit with yourself? How can you tune in rather than tune out to this chaotic element to see what it is you truly want? This full moon is fulfilling you because it's taking you to a ripening and a harvesting and a completion of seeds you planted in August of 2024. So Virgo, how is it going? This sky is showing us that you've got a very interesting volcanic week ahead, but it's all on the inner plane. This is a great time for you with Volcanus, moon, and Pandora's box in the house of self-undoing, addictions, bad habits, and patterns, far off and distant shores, to look within and see what 12th house matters want to come to your attention to do with improving your health or improving your work situation through soul work and self-work. There's something deep that's trying to be processed through you this week ahead. And the volcanic energies of Monday. Now, Monday's volcanic energy, right, is very Plutonian, which is cathartic and purging and regenerative on an axis of karma and self-undoing and health challenges and bad patterns. And so there's a really beautiful time that's available Monday into Tuesday for clearing that stuff out, blowing it out the hatch. You know what I mean? Like a spaceship, blowing it out the hatch into the vacuum of space and letting it go for good. Do you want to quit the weed, the vape, the wine, the white powders? What do you do? What shouldn't you do? Where is the problem here, guys? Let it go. Bacchus, the god of wine, is traveling with Neptune, and Neptune's in a god of addiction with a North Node and Saturn in your 7th house this week, trining Juno. Commitments and vows. It's like making a commitment and a vow in a tempestuous, stormy environment to some person, your sponsor at AA, your spouse, your best friend, to maybe curtail behaviors that are detrimental to the relationship. You need to focus on your significant other because this North Node transit for the next 18 months through the 7th house of marriage, in quotes, will ask that relationship to expand and grow a bigger pot for it, like a bigger pot for the plant of your love life to grow. But if you're single, you'll meet a destined partner. But if you're not up for the task, that relationship could destabilize in the next 18 months. And the South Node says less about you, more about them. Lean into the we, not the me and the I. Find the place of truth in that relationship by being available to what the third thing is. There's you, the other, and the third thing. The relationship together is its own entity. And the focus on building that relationship in a destined way into a larger sort of form, like having kids, getting married, moving in, is a very strong indication of what could happen in the next 18 months. And this kind of energy this week is a real turning point around those matters, one way or the other. One way or the other. Now, the Uranus Sun square Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday, and then becomes the moon, can be a shakeup in the house of faith and belief, in the house of foreign lands, travel, and visas. This is where Uranus sits in your 9th house. But the shakeup there is coming off the work house. And there may be all of a sudden this kind of vibrational shakeup. Human resources calls you and wants to change your position. You apply for a job and you're getting interview a call. You get a shakeup in some situation to do with your beliefs in the divine nature of reality, or even a shakeup regarding educational opportunities, including going off to university, etc. But there's some kind of surprising energy in the sky. It's coming off of, the Sun square Uranus and opposite Juno. I want you to also consider that some unexpected travel opportunities emerge this week for you. And they're just unexpected, not bad or good, unexpected. Or something, because you're traveling, there's something shaking up in the travel zone. Like say, I hope this doesn't happen, but you're on a trip to, the Caribbean and there's an earthquake in the Caribbean, which just happened yesterday. I'm recording on Sunday. And you're there to experience the shaking up energy because you got shake up in the house of distant shores, Uranus in the house of foreign lands. Some of you, just a few Virgos, may be in place through travel to experience an earthquake or two. I remember being in Mexico City in 1970 something, 76 maybe. I was in high school and there was an earthquake. I experienced an earthquake in Mexico City while I was visiting. Seriously, a high school trip. So sometimes we travel into the zone of shaking, and that could be something that's happening. Don't worry, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just take a deep breath. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. I need more of my tea. Give me a sec. I'm going to guzzle. So Libra, there's a intensity this week. And I would say, go back to, I said in the beginning, 2023, we had a similar intensity. And what the intensity was is that we have a moon on Wednesday squaring Uranus. Now, T-squaring because of the sun. So it's similar to what happened back then. I think you might find that this week is very deep for your soul because the South Node is in the 12th house of moksha and liberation. Uranus is in the house of that same energy. So some of you may be finding yourself having a kind of inner spiritual revelatory time, insights, downloads, coming through the Akashic records, your unconscious, your dream world, or something like that. So there's a spiritual energy to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But Uranus is also in a shared joint resources and money house, right? And there's shaking of the ground over there. And it's also connected to an opposition to Juno in the house of earnings. And there could be a fracture of agreements or vows connected to career. Mars is slicing through your 10th house, going direct on February 23rd. Some Libras are getting ready to cut out, cut away, or quit a job, or the job is going to quit them. Something wants to shake. You could get a massive, surprising severance package or a buyout bonus, like all of those people in the United States when Trump said, if you want to leave, I'll give you money, and, et cetera. If you're going to work from home, I'll just give you a buyout. So a lot of this energy is here, a big energy of shaking and grinding for some work changes and financial changes connected to work. If you're looking for a job, then you may get a new one. But if you have one, you may be getting ready to exit. There's storms in your finances, of course. There's stormy Typhon, the storm god, with the goddess of agreements and contracts in the house of money. So there's some storms about money agreements and contracts as well, likely connected to work because of Mars. Now, they don't renew your contract. They're going to renew your contract, but you don't want to go for it yet, kind of thing. Fights with the boss, maybe even. If you want to go entrepreneurial, the Sun Mercury in the house of entrepreneurship with powerful riches, Pluto squaring Uranus, you might come up with a really good idea. It could be like a pineal gland aha download, divine intervention, sharing with you a great way or plan or venue for entrepreneurial business success and creative business success. So there could be that going on in the sky for you as well. How to use the aftermath of the shaky storm? Well, first of all, just to remind you, that Monday especially could disrupt your friendship with somebody. You may have a falling out with a friend or a social group, right? Watch out for that energy of the volcanic eruptions and the ills of Pandora's box in the house of social groups and friendships. Eek! But if you don't have a shakeup with a friend, you may have a shakeup with a situation to do with money and a child, money and a friend, etc. So there's just that. But at the end of all of this, and you get out of the storm waves and you ride into Thursday through Monday, then you are in the still waters, the cell phone signal, no reception, quietude, and you can use that time to come back into your own self and figure out what it is you want and need. Like you've got a Venus Chiron thing going on, the wounded love story, the wounded business partnership story. Maybe take some downtime for you to really sit with what you want in long-term committed love and what your priorities are. If you have a relationship, talk it out with your partner. If you don't, put it in your journal so the universe knows what to deliver on the menu of life. Hey, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. So are you feeling stormy this week? Because the storm god, Typhon, is with your sign, especially some of you Scorpio, sun, moon, and risings, 25 to 29 degrees Scorpio. On the other hand, you also have the contractual vows and agreements of Juno, the marriage goddess herself, the deal-making goddess, sitting in your sign and looking over at your Uranus shaking up in the marriage house. Now, I don't particularly like Juno opposite Uranus on this axis for existing long-term love stories. It looks like you could have a massive shakeup, disruption, disagreement, or problem in a committed love story early this week. So you could even start Sunday, but by the time we get to Thursday, it's waning. And because this opposition is also in a square to the sun, it's domestic related, fights at home, disagreements over property or the house, or someone forgot to put their socks in the dryer and the other person left the toilet lid up. I mean, the smallest domestic issues could cause intense disruptive energy between you and another person this week ahead. And Juno's tricky. She loves marriages and divorces. She's like, I'll get you married, I'll get you divorced, nothing in between. So be careful for you married folks. This is not a great energy. Do not start a new relationship under this, and watch out for fractures in your relationship to a significant long-term partner. Hopefully it's just a storm and it will pass, of course. Your career is volcanic. You've got like Pandora's box up there. There's hope in that box, and you've got intense volcanic energy. Don't forget that's also the forge smith of the gods. You're forging something up there. There's a moon up there. It's going to be a full moon in your career house. Could be a completion, could be a fulfillment coming up Wednesday. But there's a lot of intensity in your career space, and it's literally at odds with what's going on in your home life. And it could just be, your work and home balance is completely off. And this week, your attention must be drawn to that. Hmm. And with Neptune North Node connected to your romantic and sexual and creative life, and Juno there, a positive development that could look like this wedge energy that's trying to form could say something along the lines that you could be looking for you could be seeing a creative breakthrough in your artistic or creative or entrepreneurial life that could also look like a viral hit with Uranus in the house of the audience. So for the positive side, it could be very good. All right, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. I promise. Sagittarius, it's a shaky week ahead. Lots of shake and bake with Uranus, shaking up the sky, shaking up the ground. He's a sky god, he's in an earth sign, in the house of work, in the house of health, in the house of rentals and rental property agreements. And he happens to be in a sextile, by the way, to the node of Fate and Saturn. So it could be also positive developments that are surprising but good around rental property agreements of any sort, whether you're the landlord or the tenant. But the shaking energy that's difficult is that there's going to be, especially Monday, a lot of volcanic intensity up in the top of your sky opposite Pluto. So this Pluto catharsis energy coming through the third house of communicating, writing, social media, short distance travel, or the sibling one younger and the sibling two older are really shaking and baking here. There could be some sibling issues going on for you. Ninth house, third house. Or you could look at this as a big breakthrough as well, coming through the sky. Who knows? But something's erupting in the ninth house. And the ninth house is the house of publishing, the house of travel and visas and educational settings and mentors, guides, and spiritual beliefs. So there's a bit of intensity there. And then we move, but it is a kind of subtle energy, but it also flows to you. So you may not mind it, but if you're traveling in a foreign land or foreign shore, there can be some big intensities going on around you in your travels to do with earth events, for example, and you just might be in proximity to that, or there might be some shakeups on the horizon in the area of the place where you're traveling. Now, I kind of think that this story looks a lot to me like with Uranus in your natal sixth house, that you also might be making some major breakthroughs when it comes to your health. Like Uranus is a guy of break-free, breakthrough. He's in an earth sign. It's in Venus, a sign of pleasure, and he's having breakthroughs about pleasure and health matters. So if you always love to eat Haagen-Dazs every day, I always use Haagen-Dazs as my favorite guilty pleasure, then you're literally going to be able to break free of that pattern. So there's a shift here of some sort. And the other thing I like about the sky, because it has some positive attributes for you, this storm god in the 12th house is like, what vows and what agreements, Juno, have you made in other lifetimes that you're no longer going to have up your pocket anymore? Like, I don't care about that vow of chastity, poverty, that vow of whatever. There's kind of unconscious agreements from the ancestral line, your childhood and your past lives that are getting ready to end, right? In very regenerative, cathartic, and intense volcanic ways, breaking free of those patterns of self-undoing that may not have come from this lifetime even. And the full moon, of course, is happening in that ninth house of foreign countries and foreign lands and foreign shores. And some of you, because of this chart, may even be so excited by international travel that there may be some considerations of relocation under this kind of a sky. This is Monday through to Thursday. Now, when we move further along and we look at, what's going on, on Wednesday with that full moon, right, itself, it is in that perfect square to Uranus. And so there may also be a massive breakthrough in a legal matter. If you've had any kind of situation to do with lawsuits and legal matters, especially over shared financial resources with another person, there may be some breakthroughs in that area of your sky coming up this week as well. Now, as we move into, Thursday through to next Monday, then there's a calm sky, not much is happening. You're in the calm after storms that have happened, and you can settle in and really sit with what it is you need or want. With Jupiter in your seventh house, some of you are eyeballing long-term love and wondering, are you my mate? And some of you have between now and June 9th to say, yes, you're my mate, meaning you find somebody or a new relationship comes into your life, or the one you're in solidifies. But I will warn you, Jupiter's just as happy after retrograding and going forward, after reconsidering things and going back, to exit a relationship. So there's a bit of this week, as the dust is settling, where some of those long-term relationship challenges for committed love stories is going to be drawing a lot of your attention. If you have a relationship that could be on Jupiter's, you don't always get what you want, you get what you need, chopping block. Especially if that person is a foreigner to the place of birth from which you came from. Not all of our partners are born in the same country as we are. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Well, first of all, Monday is volcanic. You'll feel it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, energy, Volcanus, Pandora's box, lunation, especially on Monday, intensity, opposite Pluto, cathartic and regenerative in your money house. Money, catharsis, shared resources, catharsis, financial wellness, explosive energy. Now, Uranus is in the house of money luck, and he will be coming into a square to the sun all the way through to Wednesday. And that also will be the moon in the house of chunky money, indicating a strong possibility that you could have a financial breakthrough that looks like money luck, winning a lottery, a stock that takes off, or something like that. It also could work on the other side. Even though Uranus is in the house of good fortune and winning money, it could also look like a downdraft. Be careful with your stock portfolio. But I err on the side of positivity with the house of good fortune, ruled by Venus. So you could also have a breakthrough connected to land, property, and real estate as well. And the word rental opportunity, lucky breakthroughs there as well this week. Now, possibly the energy of Juno, the goddess of marriage and commitment in the house of friendship, it shows stormy seas with friends and their relationships, or an elder sibling and their relationship to their spouse or significant other. If you're in a long-term kind of love relationship, Juno in the 11th house of good spirit, coming into that square energy, that difficult, challenging energy to the sun and opposite Uranus, and eventually creating a bit of a T-square, with the full moon. A grand cross could be a very big energy around whether or not a long-term committed love story can hold. Okay? Because the moon in the house of death, there's some kind of axis here or crisis energy building up early on. I think you might feel it starting up late Sunday into Wednesday. Because Uranus is also in the house of romantic love. Mars is slicing and cutting retrograde through to February 23rd through your committed long-term love stories. The other element is an old, former, past long-term committed love partner erupts into your life out of the blue. Coming off the house of social groups, social circles, and friendships, right? But if you're in a long-term committed love story, Mars separates you from the one you're with, Mars through the 7th house, but Mars also can cause conflict in that relationship, and cutting, ending, and severing can happen. Now, while Mars does trine Juno and is in a flowing relationship to that goddess, we do see Uranus in a opposition to Juno. And just without even the houses involved, there could be a shocking disruption of a romantic love story and a tempestuous storm around it. Lastly, some fractures in relationships with children over finances, especially if your children are financially draining or dependent in some way, and you're ready to maybe change that relationship on money and children. Now, of course, little children, no, but adult children, yes. Aquarius, I'm one of you. It is a story where, first of all, we are Pluto, we are powerful, we are all not suffering fools gladly, and we're pretty deeply regenerating ourselves and having very cathartic moments. Welcome to the next 19 years. Icarus has been really close to the sun, and some of us may have felt a little bit like our wings have been melting in the last while. On the other hand, there's something about that being in the past now. The wings that are melting, we're so close to the sun, we feel like we're melting. I was in Mexico. I felt like I was nice and warm. So I was flying close to the sun. I flew to Mexico and I got close to the sun during that time that unfortunately planes were crashing from the sky. But I will say that with Mercury here this week, it's your ideas and your communications that matter. Your ideas and your communications are on the front center of this story this week ahead, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you're looking at communicating to the house of significant marriage partners, business partners, and audience where the full moon is brewing. Monday is extremely intense with a volcanic energy and a cathartic energy with Pluto opposite the moon. Pluto opposite the moon with Volcanus and Pandora's box can look like a very big eruptive energy in a situation with another person. Now, if you're in the public sphere like me, your seventh house is your fan club, but also your troll club. So you could have a very big blowout with a particularly intense moment of difficulty with some of your, troll audience. That could happen. With a full moon on Wednesday, though, and I've covered that in a video 2 back, so please go watch it. A full light is shining in the marriage house, showing you what is true, what is real, what is desired. The seed for that full moon was planted back in August 4th. So now you've got a full light on it. You can see more clearly what needs to happen there. Shake and bake, disruption connected to home, property, land, and real estate domicile. Mars sextiles, change of home, maybe rental home changes as well. Coming up as something you'll see in the sky, truly to be obvious to you, likely before you get to Thursday. You have a commitment goddess and a marriage vow goddess with tempestuous storms in your 10th house. And your 10th house is your career and reputation. What vows and agreements have you made in the public sphere that you may have a fracture and a change of heart and a change of mind on? And especially if it's going to be something you need to announce, to the world. Like, for example, I'll make an example. I was committing to see clients again in March and April, opening up my booking calendar. For all I know, by the time I get to early this week, I'll change my mind and have to announce to everybody on my wait list that I'm not doing that. I might just keep my priority Mondays open and that's it. Because I am more interested in my creative writing and being available to teach than I am anymore about the one-on-one work. And as much as my heart goes out to people who are desiring to see me, I have seen 5,000 plus clients in the last 5 years. I mean, that could be an understatement. And I just think that could be like an example of me breaking an agreement I've made publicly or something I've said publicly. And it's a tempestuous storm to do so. But who knows? Now, interestingly, one of the things that's going on this week has to do with your money access as well. Juno, moneta, money and coinage, is flowing in a trine to your North Node, Saturn in the house of earnings. And so there's an increase or agreements or contracts or collaborations that may emerge this week for you to increase your financial wellness in the public sphere connected to work. And if you're looking for work, this could be a new job contract, a new work contract emerging. And certainly Mars can say, quit your job. But Mars can also say, be passionately engaged in your job. So either one could be happening for you this week. The dust settles after the intensity of the week as you move on to Thursday through Sunday. And you might find Monday, you might find as the dust is settling, as everything is kind of calming down off of this week's first half of the week intensity, what can you do in the quietude of no cell phone, no signal from the cell phone, no reception? With Mercury's support, you might just want to consider, because you've got him there till Friday at least, what ideas, what insights you want to glean from within your very own self. And as the dust is settling, you might also settle down a little bit, right, into a kind of calm disposition, kind of inner reflection about what Pluto wants from you, because he's breathing on you. He's breathing his Darth Vader spooky sounds all over you. And so you better get to know him. And Tales of Power by Carlos Castaneda, he talks about making friends with death, like the little bird on your shoulder. And this is a similar vibe. You may as well get to know him. He'll be here for 19 months. So in the quietude of a signal-free sky, I would suggest that kind of like Thursday through to next Monday is a good time to really go into a dialogue with that Pluto in your first house, moving through you, through your sun, your career, through your moon, your body home, and your sense of emotional approach to life. And of course, your sun, everything about you, everything about your character and what it's being tasked to do for a Plutonian transpersonal evolutionary giant for humanity. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. First of all, there's a lot going on. Look for and be cautious of challenges regarding your health. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because of volcano moon, especially Monday, be careful for your health. Eruptions regarding health. Of course, I think of eruptions, I think of pimples or zits or something, but be careful for inflammation eruptions, health challenges. Be willing to be either prepared or preventative around eruptive health challenges. All right. Now, on the other side of that coin on Monday, the energy can be really good for you to go into a deeper dive around your soul, around things that hold you back, around your unself undoing. It's an axis of very much karmatic matters that are being explosively drawn to your attention. And because you also have this, full moon coming up on Wednesday in Leo, again, a big spotlight on your health and your work routines and work that you do in this world, so that you make a kind of a big shiny light on seeds you planted in the work and health house back in August. And you can really look at that more clearly. All the while, Pluto on the other side of the coin says, get rid of all this self-sabotaging, self-undoing, your own worst enemy stuff that has held you back. Now, this Uranus, that could be an earthquake or a tsunami or some problems with the stock markets for the world, is in your third house. And it is a house of the internet and social media. And this is a god of the internet. And so therefore you could have something go viral. So you could, have something go into some wealth and virility in your viral content in your online world, and generating revenue from far off distant shores kind of vibe in the work that you do online. So this could be good for that. It could be a positive surprise for you, no doubt about it. Juno has something going on about agreements and commitments and vows that you might have made in the ninth house. Did you make an agreement to your pastor, your preacher, to a religious community, or a book publishing deal? And is it going to stay solid? Did you make a legal vow of some sort that you might have a contractual agreement around that you might have to, in a stormy way, reassess or rethink? I also say that, I want to give you a heads up. What are you going to do with 18 months of the South Node in your marriage house? Either that marriage is going to erode, dissolve, fall away, or you're going to have to deepen the spiritual connection to the person you're with, when they can be having health challenges in the next 18 months as well. So knowing that is happening, Juno is also talking to the South Node in the long-term committed love house, from the house of the spiritual place, God, the house of God. And so you and your spiritual partner, your marriage partner type partner, looking deeper at life together, at the meaning of life and the deepness of life, like finding spiritual common ground, finding a spiritual alignment might be important. And you might be aware of some of that this week ahead. Uranus is opposite Juno. There could be some fractures of agreements you've made regarding educational opportunities, publishing deals, learning and teaching situations, and travel plans, and a fracture or change of direction around those agreements that's kind of unexpected and sudden. Finally, with Saturn, North Node, Neptune in your sign, and last seen as a triple conjunction in 18, especially had Venus in there, 1850s, right? This is a sky that's so rare. And I want you to harness it, because you guys are you are at the epicenter of a very rare event in our sky, especially coming up with Saturn conjunct the North Node. I can't remember the date offhand. It's coming up this summer. You are going to experience a first lifetime, once in a lifetime energy, and it's already building here. We've already had that triple conjunction that just happened the last week of January into early February. And so all said and done, you are being asked to really understand that with sober-minded, realistic, tangible, wise sage like Saturn, you can dream into being some destined change in your life. So you should be vision boarding, journaling, daydreaming. You should be doing all the Neville Goddard stuff, the awakened imagination. Somehow, some way, my life turns out somehow, some way. I really encourage you, Think and Grow Rich, all of these books, As a Man Thinketh. This sky speaks to that kind of mindset for you, Pisces, to look into the art of the game of life and how to play it by Florence Scovel Shinn. This is the sky that you have. You have, Neptune's leaving your sign for good in 2026, and he's barely in and out this summer. So you want to use him. He's like March 30th to September 1st or so. He's out, no, October 22nd. He'll be busy in your money house. But around those buffers before March 30th, for example, use this Neptune to really envision what it is you desire to bring into tangible form in your life. Use all the magic tools up your sleeve. The game of life and how to play it. Think and Grow Rich. As a Man Thinketh. Please consider going into that direction. I think it's a very valuable resource for somebody going through a very rare time of a Saturn-Neptune conjunction, as well as a North Node, not to mention Venus coming in and out of her exaltation there. So go for it. All right, that's what I got for you. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll see you guys in my next video. It is Sunday, February the 9th at 1:06 p.m. I'm timestamping this from the record in case there is an earthquake before Monday. Like today, that's of a major proportion, like the Turkey one, 7.8 Turkey earthquake that decimated people's homes in southern Turkey in 2023. That same sky is being replicated with the full moon this week ahead. Full moons are known to be climate disasters as well, let alone square Uranus, let alone having Volcanus activating the moon on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, co-present. It's an intense sky. And stock market shakeups. Wouldn't be surprised at opening bell on Monday to see that the Dow is plunging or something like that. All right, we're going the other way, but I don't know what would cause that because economic indicators do not suggest that. All right, thanks guys for listening. I'll see you on the next video, which is my first What in the World Wednesday. I'm going to be looking at Carney versus Trudeau in our upcoming Canadian election. Believe me, Carney is going to win against Chrystia Freeland and the other girl, somebody Gould. It's a fait accompli. He's the what do you call it? Golden child, the decorated one to go against Trudeau. And right now it makes the race with Pierre Poilievre really close because everyone's rallying around the Buy Canada anti-US vibe here in Canada. We're going to look at that. I'm going to also take a quick look at Donald Trump again because this full moon is really difficult for him and it's connected to his ascendant Mars. I'm going to take another closer look at his trajectory over the next few months and his health especially. And I also might pull up one on Serbia. Somebody asked me to look at the student protests in Serbia. And I might also look at Macron and his wife, Bridget, or is it a wife or is it a woman? There's a lot of scandal going on from Candace Owen about Macron. And I think there could be some weird stuff going on there. It's kind of like pop scandal. But we see that anyway with Salacia traveling with Venus. That is the scandal we see with this weird way that I think it was the book Becoming Bridget is being investigated by Candace Owen and Owen and a podcaster. And it's really a fascinating story. It's like all the mystery of Macron and his wife, Bridget. Bridget, don't know how to pronounce it. All right. And that's probably what I'm going to cover. These What in the World Wednesdays will be exclusively about world event astrology. They'll probably go no longer than an hour to 90 minutes, but I will cover the things that are in the news cycle. I'm desperately hoping I'm not covering anything about an earthquake calamity that I'm worried about, volcanic eruptions and tsunamis because of Typhon. But if nothing happens on the climate front this week, then I'd be surprised. Don't forget, look to the skies. Look to like the size of a small car, objects in our skies, and maybe more disclosure about them as well. Thank you. Bye.